You can talk about standard applications.
It's recording. Go. So hey guys, this is Walla Walla MTG. Sorry about not making many videos, but Cole and I didn't do much magic. This is Seth.
Hello.
You guys probably know him. We're gonna discuss the Gatecrash spoilers so far. So
right, first up we have Angelic Skirmisher.
So she or he, I don't know, has flying, and at the beginning of each combat, choose First Strike, Vigilance, or Lifelink.
I don't know, this is pretty versatile.
And creatures you control gain that ability until end of turn.
I mean, it has a converted mana cost of 6, which means it's probably not going to see very much standard play, but in limited, ooh boy, this is a bomb.
Any flyers that are bigger than 1/1s are almost always bombs in limited, but this one especially.
Well, I mean, if you have the option to either stall out the game a little longer, provide defense for the next turn, or
just finish.
Make a disincentive for them to even block with anything. I mean, you just have so many options with it. It's something that pretty much everyone's going to first pick at a draft.
It's pretty good. So
next up we have Basilica Guards. It's the lovely defender with Extort, which is the new Ortsoff mechanic, which is whenever you cast a spell you can pay either black or white, and every opponent will lose 1 life and you will gain that much life.
So it's a 1/4 for 3 mana. We've seen this before. They like to make those 1/4 defenders with some random ability. But I think this is definitely good in limited.
For sure.
Because, I mean, Extort is good in limited. But
Extort is just an easy way to chip away at the life. I don't see very many applications.
Nothing in standard.
I don't see very much application in standard.
So Boros Elite, though, is a 1 mana 1/1, 1 white, for a creature that is a human soldier with Battalion. And whenever it attacks with 2 other creatures, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn.
Sort of like the bastardized version of Odric's ability. And, you know, it seems okay, but you really have to commit with your attacking. You have to attack with a bunch of things.
Limited's gonna be good, though, for sure.
Well, yeah, in limited you're basically just swinging at each other until it's until it's game. But Boros Elite is something that might run well in mono-white humans or even green-white humans, because everything needs a sort of a mini wild Beastmaster buff.
Yeah, that's true. So next we have
Gideon. He is the mythic planeswalker of the white color.
And he's bad.
His focus is on loyalty counters.
So he's 4 mana, which, you know, already he looks good from the first
He
perspective.
combos with Doubling Season. Everything combos with Doubling Season.
So you have 4 mana, 2 white, 2 colorless. No Boros Gideon, too bad. But
well, his +1 ability puts a substantial number of loyalty counters on him.
Well, not if you're against control.
Not if you're against control. It's a very specific card. I can see it being sideboarded, actually.
I don't know, man.
Sideboarded at most, you know?
I mean, even against aggro decks, you're going to play this, and you're going to get, I don't know, 3 extra counters on him. But each of those creatures is going to deal more damage than counters he got. So, you know, he's just gone. And there's just so much to get rid of planeswalkers right now. You know, Oblivion Ring.
There's Dreadbore.
This guy, because his 0 turns him into a creature.
Does Detention Sphere work on non-land permanents?
Yep.
Detention Sphere works on that.
So, and because of his 0, which turns him into a indestructible creature.
You can still Tragic Slip him. I mean, if he had Hexproof or some other way to avoid getting spot removal,
he'd be fairly decent, actually.
He'd be decent, because you couldn't even Wrath him, but unless you had a ridiculous amount of swamps and you mutilated.
But the other problem is, because if you use his 0 ability after you've already +1, he's almost guaranteeably at 5 loyalty, which means Celestia Charm exiles him. And when your mythic planeswalker dies to an uncommon,
if Celestia Charm isn't important enough yet, it's about to become about 5 times more important.
Yeah, so I don't see him being very good. Oh, and his ultimate is minus 15. So
They're expecting your opponent to have a lot more creatures, I think R&D is, than
Yeah.
they actually are.
I think they want it to just be more creature based.
Or maybe they play tested it so that it's not ridiculously overpowered. And then the last of the mono white cards that's been revealed is Murder Investigation. If you enchant a creature you control for 2, when it dies, you put X11 white soldier creature tokens. Interesting flavor for sure. And
You should read the flavor if you're going to point out it's interesting.
not the flavored text, but the flavor of the card.
Okay, I understand now.
But this seems more like a Golgari mechanic. It seems like a reason to use Karodza Guildmage.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you were doing like a 3-pack draft, one of each, then if you drafted Karodza Guildmage and you drafted Murder Investigation, that would be reason enough to run junk.
Yeah, but one thing I actually do like about Murder Investigation is just imagine putting it on a Thragtusk. Not only when your Thragtusk dies do you get a 3/3,
This is going to make
you
Naya
also
quite
get
a bit
5
better.
1/1s, and I feel like that is awesome. And my
You think you're
dog
going to
is
add that
very
to your
small.
Naya deck?
Oh, no, there's not space for it, but I could see it working out in the right deck.
Now we're moving on to blue.
Oh, Cloudfin Raptor.
Cloudfin
So
Raptor
good.
flying in the
So good.
one of the creatures that's been revealed with the Simic mechanic Evolve, which is whenever a creature with a greater power or toughness entering the battlefield after Cloudfin Raptor, that
If
gets
it has a
countered.
greater, if it has greater power than this creature gets a +1/+1 counter.
The problem I have with Evolve, though, is that it gradually peters out. You can get it up to like a 4/5 or something, so unless they have some sort of monstrous creature, or unless you have some sort of monstrous creature that you're going to bring out.
I feel like we could easily see rugged decks with this. Because,
Definitely.
I mean,
Because red and green are the
red,
greatest
green,
sources of power.
good. Blue, green, good now because that we got Simic. We've already got the, is it already out?
You know, I could see this having an application in Modern, surprisingly, the Evolve mechanic at least. Because they're one of my favorite cards that I've never been able to make an application for was Force of Savagery, which cost 3 and was an 8/0 with Trample. But the Enter the Battlefield effect works with Evolve. So if you ever need a last-ditch effort at making any of your creatures bigger with Evolve, you can always play Force of Savagery if you were just making a janky little Modern deck.
I'm gonna see if it's still recording. It is indeed. Okay, keep going.
Our next card is one of the cards spoiled in...
Oh, such a waste.
Spoiled on the Craigslist. Enter the Infinite. Oh.
Okay, so 12 mana. We're done talking about this.
I can see this in Omniscience vintage decks.
That would be fun.
Show and tell into Omniscience and to Enter the Infinite means you have access to your entire library. Means
And
you're-
then you lose next turn if you can't finish them.
It means you're not dependent on drawing into your Emrakul.
If you guys hear random noises, it's my dog. He's rolling on the couch right behind the camera. Just saying.
I do like the phrase, don't just have an idea, have all of them.
Yeah, the flavor text is pretty awesome. Other than that, no, really.
Our next one is Gridlock, which is one of...
Gridlock doesn't rhyme with 3, guys. Downpour does. I don't like Gridlock. Unlimited is good, but...
Gridlock, I mean, it taps
X.
X, and it's X and 1 blue, and that's all it does.
But to downpour with this guy, or this thing, you have to pay 4 mana.
You know what would be interesting is if something like this
Somebody
had...
made a tap everything deck.
Yeah, well, that brings us to
Casual
our...
tap everything, go.
That brings us to our next card, Hands of Binding. I thought,
So good.
Gridlock is pretty good, but what if we gave it Cipher, which is the new Dimir mechanic?
Oh, Cypher is good.
Cipher, in case you don't know, allows you to exile the spell and encode it on a creature you control. It's sort of like a, I've said this already, bastardized version of imprinting. And so when you sort of encode this on a creature, every time it connects, you copy the spell. So this can get out of hand really quickly. It's like,
Mhm.
especially with Hands of Binding.
And your Invisible Stalker.
Yeah, well, Invisible Stalker is one of the many ways to make this completely bonkers. Of course.
I'm really hoping that they reveal some unblockable dudes for Dimir, because they haven't yet, actually, I don't think.
Well, they do
Except
have.
for the unblockable for Simic, which doesn't make sense.
But they do have the Soulsworn Spirit, which is the 2/1 with unblockable from Return to Ravnica, which will keep Cypher relevant even after Innistrad rotates out.
Yeah.
But Hands of Binding, it taps a creature an opponent controls, and then it doesn't untap during its next untap step. And so you can do that every.
For one creature.
You can
especially against control.
Repeat it. You can repeat it. It just
control decks are gonna have probably one creature, and if they don't get to use it,
Cypher can be broken in so many ways.
Yeah. Next we have
Rapid Hybridization. This is Pongify, basically.
Yeah, I like it.
Only it instead of an ape, it puts out a 3/3 green frog lizard.
You know, frog lizards are the best. Lizard's favorite animal here. Frog's the second favorite. Can't go wrong with that.
Well, Rapid Hybridization basically is. It's like a Beast Within, but it only applies to creatures, and it's blue instead of green. But
True.
Still, it's cheaper. So if you need easy removal for one of their bombs, I can see this having some use in limited, but only a certain amount, because oftentimes the 3/3...
A 3/3 in limited is actually
Yeah, the
big.
thing is the 3/3 is probably going to be a lot better than whatever they...
Unless, of course, you know, they reprint Lightning Bolt, then 3/3s are nothing again, but for now, 3/3s are big.
And then
Simic Flux Mage.
Simic Flux Mage is our next card, and it's one of the ones that was spoiled at an F&M. Somebody opened a pack, and surprise, surprise, it had a Simic Flux Mage in it.
Davey.
It's another one of those creatures with Evolve, and you can pay 2, tap it, move a counter from Simic Flux Mage onto another creature. And what a lovely dog Micah has.
I know, he's so cute, look at him. Okay. Anyway, so...
This is something that I could picture being used with Fathom Mage, which we'll get to later for card draw.
I think there's going to be somebody who makes a nuts counter deck, like not counter spells, but +1/+1 counter deck.
Oh my god, in
And
Modern with
it's gonna be the best thing
Gilderbairn, it doubles the counters every turn. Jeez. And now our 2 mono black spoil cards. Cryptgast. It's another card with Extort.
Which is good.
But the interesting thing about this is that it basically, if you have swamps, it produces an additional black for each swamp you tap for mana. This allows you to...
Extort for free!
Yeah, pretty much.
And make bigger stuff, of course.
If you want to run black at all in any deck, then you're going to want to run Cryptgast. It's easily a first pick.
Not sure about a first pick.
Not first pick?
Well, we don't know.
It makes your mana go berserk.
But they haven't spoiled much yet, you know?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that could technically be first picks, but Gateway Shade is our next one, and finally, the first thing that makes a much better use of gates than even something like Ogre Jailbreaker, which was fine and limited. But
I still like Ogre Jailbreaker better, but
for black, Gateway Shade can get +1/+1 until end of turn, and you can tap a gate you control and give it to +2/+2 until end of turn. This gives...
She's a limited baller.
Yeah, this gives people reason to draft gates more than ever before. I mean, beyond mana fixing, now it will actually have a use with the Gateway Shade.
Mm-hmm. So...
Now we're moving into red, and here's another one of the crazeless spoiled. Hellkite Tyrant. I can't imagine...
Your artifact decks will be no more. Sideboard for every red deck wins.
The thing is, by the time you get Hellkite Tyrant out, if you're playing against a fast bots deck in something like Modern, they're going to have won by the time you even come close to getting Hellkite Tyrant out.
Yeah, he's still fun.
He is, but...
I can't wait to win with 20 or more artifacts, guys.
So interesting. There needs to be a way to make this guy work.
If only he was in the Mirrodin block. But
This
obviously they made him not in the Mirrodin block.
guy would be screwed.
Yeah, I know.
Mirrodin block.
So Skullcrack is our next card.
This is going to be a staple in burn decks. It's one cheaper than Flames of the Blood Hand, and it's basically a lava spike.
To the face. You can only target a player with it,
Yeah,
which is
why
a little too bad.
Which is why it's a lava spike. But,
Yeah.
If you're a burn deck, that's pretty much all you're focused on. And
the people cannot, and that player can't gain. No one can gain life this turn, and it's an instant. So
so
like-
it messes with people attempting to work shenanigans with lifelink or something like that.
Like with the angel we talked about first, and if that person chooses lifelink, which could totally save them, you can be like, no.
And next up is 10th Street Market.
Bad.
It's just horrendous. It's a crappier.
It's
a Goblin Rummager.
Yeah.
It's a crappier.
It's a
Man
5-mana
profit.
enchant land and tap, discard a card and draw a card. Whenever you discard first, it's bad.
Yeah.
You always want to draw first, and it's 5 mana, and you're giving up a land.
Next up we have Viashno. Is that
Vishano, I think.
Vishano?
I don't know.
I have no idea how to pronounce these
You
things.
guys should tell us in the comments below.
Yeah, nice. So Shanktail here, he's a 3/1 first strike for 4, which doesn't seem very good on its own until you
Yeah.
get to the mechanic, which is Blood Rush, which is the Gruul mechanic, where you can discard the Shanktail dude and
I hope they show us more Blood Rush, because we haven't really seen too much of what it's capable of, and Gruul hasn't also... The other problem is they haven't shown us many small creatures for us to Blood Rush on in Gruul yet, but...
yeah, but Blood Rush seems like something that would be absolutely bonkers and limited, provided you have the right things.
And actually, I realized a while ago that it does have constructive playability because it's an uncounterable pump spell.
Uncounterable pumps are always great.
Uncounterable anything. And,
Now we're moving on
the
to
first
green.
striker trample or anything can just blow somebody up.
Speaking of trample, moving on to Experiment 1 in the green,
Why'd you say?
Well,
Speaking of trample.
because trample is green.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes. Well, Experiment 1 is the another 1-drop
I feel like
with Evolve.
they should have had this guy been the hybrid 1 blue, 1 green.
That would have been interesting. It would have made it easier to play
I'm not
as
sure
well.
if they're doing the 1-drop uncommon cycle again or not.
Anyway, you can remove 2 +1/+1 counters from him to regenerate him, and
he's
with
a 1.
Evolve, it's fairly easy to get him out early and get him pumped up faster.
Especially in a green deck, that can do work.
And
Ouch.
then we're switching back to Gruul again, and we have Skarg Goliath. He costs 8 and is a 9/9 with trample, which is I mean, it brings out my inner
Yeah.
Timmy, but
I mean, in limited, anytime you play a 9/9 with trample,
but it's 8. You're probably not going to get that out under any circumstances. It's like a
I don't
Dogger
know.
Hellkite.
limited can go for a while sometimes.
Sometimes,
If you're fairly
but
well
the
matched.
real nice thing with this is the
And
Blood
they also
Rush.
haven't showed us. I feel like they need to have some sort of Gruul mana ramp because of Ignis, who we'll get to later. But
Yeah.
they need some. I think that they're gonna have some sort of form of Gruul mana ramp.
Yeah, well,
Words are hard.
what ends up happening is we have Blood Rush here, gives the creature +9/+9 and trample until end of turn
For 7.
for 7. So that it's in and of itself can be a game finisher,
Yeah.
but
That does totally.
I don't see it being used
Yeah,
to
in my
great
last-
effect
in the last time I
in
was-
standard.
And I can't remember what it's called. Not draft. Sealed. And sealed. For a while ago, I did get to 8 mana, and I played that giant fish guy with Island Walk and made everything islands.
Stormtide Leviathan.
There you go.
Yes.
And that is a finisher too. But anyway, moving on.
We're into the multicolor now, and this is where Ravnica really thrives. We have Alms Beast.
Ugh.
Costs 4, and it's a 6/6. It's sort of like a grinning demon, except instead of us losing life, it allows them to gain life. Creatures blocking or blocked by Alms Beast have lifelink.
The problem is, the last 6/6 for 4 that they spoiled was mono black, and it just got bigger. There was really no downside to that. This one
has major downside. It allows them to gain life.
I really don't like this guy.
But considering if you're running Extort, I think there might be enough of a...
Yeah, but what happens if they have bigger guys than you is the real question.
That's the problem. Still, this guy could be a reliable beater in Limited. And now we're moving on to another Craigslist spoiler, Aurelia the War Leader.
I like Aurelia, mostly because my deck does a lot of blinking effects, and Aurelia really likes blinking effects.
In case you don't know, she's a 3/4 with flying, vigilance, and haste, and provides the additional World at War effect of whenever it attacks for the first time each turn and gives it an additional combat phase. It's like a never-ending World at War.
And it's 6 mana, 2 white, 2 red, 2 colorless. But the reason it's so good, and I think it will be in my deck especially, is because whenever you cloud shift it after the first attack,
you get a third.
You get a third one, and then a fourth one, and then, like you could play this and have 5 combat turns.
If you had enough.
Well, not that first time.
If you had enough cloud shifts.
With cloud shifts, we will prevail.
Next, we're moving on to Biovisionary. I don't see its application here.
I see its application. We're going to have decks.
Well, I mean, not in, what's its face? Not in Limited. Not in Limited at all.
No.
At all.
I don't know.
Biovisionary costs...
He's a 2/3 for 3. You can play him.
You can play him, but...
but he's not going to do it.
But at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game.
See, we're going to have a deck. And it's going to be Biovisionaries and Azorius Electrocutors. Wait, Elector? I don't know.
Azor's Elecutors.
Whatever it is. We're going to have those in one deck. And eventually, that deck is going to win, guys.
Only if you're running some sort of Turbo Fog.
No. Look. So, remember, Infinite Reflections. What am I talking about?
Infinite Reflections on
Biovisionary.
You could also do a kicked Rite of Replication.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm talking about is, you play this guy, then, whenever possible, you get that Infinite Reflections, or, I can't even remember the name.
You're gonna need to stall with this.
And then you just pump out tokens if you can at all, and then they turn into that guy, and you're like, I just won with that guy.
I see this in a combo with the Galvanic Alchemist, Axebane Guardian combo, because you could get the mana to Sphinx's Revelation and draw into your entire deck. At which point you'd be able to play all your Biovisionaries, and then at the end of your turn you win the game.
That's pretty awesome.
So, if you can pull that off, you need a ridiculous amount of defenders, and Galvanic Alchemist and Axebane Guardian out. You could totally pull that off.
If you're not comfortable, get away. So anyway.
Interesting concepts around that, but moving on, we have another Craigslister, Borborygmus Enraged.
Oh, man.
8 mana.
You guys don't know how sad this makes me. I love Borborygmus, his original card, because he was 7 mana, which is less than this, but this guy just annoys me because he's not flavorful, really. They talked about Borborygmus getting weaker, and I was like, watch this. We'll have 2 green, 2 red mana Borborygmus. He'll be like a 4/3, and he'll have some really cool ability. And instead, they made him...
Nope.
Yeah, they made him cost more and have a higher power. They just switched his power and toughness. And his ability is just weird. So he has trample. And whenever he deals combat damage to a player...
I mean, he gets all the lands out, and if you've been thinning your deck out enough, you might be able to.
Yeah. So anyway, whenever he deals combat damage to a player, reveal 3 cards of your library, put all land cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard.
And then you can discard a land card for a lightning bolt, basically.
Yeah. To a creature or player, which is good, but...
Moving on, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Borborygmus, but next up we have another Cypher card called Call of the Nightwing.
So much mana, though.
Yeah, it costs 4, but it puts out a 1/1 little flyer, and it ciphers it. The thing is, you can... In the way this orders, you can actually put the cipher on the token.
Yeah, I know.
And then you can just basically reproduce it every turn. It's like a slightly more expensive Bitter Blossom.
Hopefully it will get to the point where, you're going to actually be doing well. Now, here's a card I like.
He's a huge fan of this, but it requires so much mana for it to work.
Land Defiance. It does not.
Yeah,
What if you
well, if you
have
want to
a-
pick off one thing of theirs and then maybe a little more against the player, but
So look,
I'm not the biggest fan of X mana spells.
Well, I like this one though. So Clan Defiance, guys. It is a green-red X sorcery. Choose one or more.
I want
I'm
instant speed.
already smiling. Okay, come on. You want instant speed? That would just make this overpowered, let's face it.
Okay, fine.
I also really like the art, guys, and unfortunately, I can't really edit very well, so we'll just tell you to go to, just search Gatecrash.
I can edit fine.
Alright, maybe he'll do it. Anyway, so, choose one or more. Clan Defiance deals X damage to target creature with flying. Clan Defiance deals X damage to target creature without flying. And or Clan Defiance deals X damage to target player. So,
I really want to see another series of commands like Cryptic Command, Austere Command, Primal Command, that kind of thing, because
Yeah.
those would wreak havoc in Standard.
now, but what I like about this is because it's and or, you can pay 4. You can, if you pay, 6 mana, you're dealing 4 damage to 3 things, hopefully. You can get rid of a Restoration Angel, a Thragtusk. Sure, they're going to get a 3 token, but
Oh, I thought this
Thragtusk-
worked like a fireball. Okay, that's
No.
really awesome. Okay, never
Yeah.
mind.
Anyway,
You're
so,
right. This
so
is
far,
pretty
this
awesome.
is, that's really, really good and constructed, too. Because, I mean,
Damage to a creature
It's
and
just-
to a player. Ooh.
damage to 2 creatures and a player.
Well, yeah, but it depends on if they have a flyer or not.
Yeah, a lot of decks are going to run flyers, though. I feel like flyers are pretty common.
We have another Dimir card, which has it's a Mind Funeral on a stick.
Oh, this one is good in EDH.
EDH indeed.
So,
Ooh, especially if your opponent's running like Iname Death Aspect type of deck that has a lot of searching and putting.
read the card.
But consuming aberration's power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyards, and whenever you cast a spell, you basically Mind Funeral them, reveal cards from the top of their library until they get a land, then put the cards into their graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be ridiculous if you're running mill.
Yes.
And whew,
Yeah, it's going to be really good, I think. Next, I hope they also reveal more mill cards for Dimir, because
Death Pact Angel. Oh my God!
this
Why?
one's pretty. I
Why?
honestly think it's sort of weird.
It's
One
weird.
thing I'm
It
hoping
is
for right
weird.
now, guys, just saying, I want there to be a legendary creature, rare Tessa, which you guys might remember from the original Ravnica,
Lots of spirits.
mostly because it's just fun. Because Tessa, I've always called her the anti-Gruul. But anyway. So
Yeah.
Deathpact Angel, 6 mana. This one's weird. They costed it weird.
Yeah.
It's 2 black and 1 white instead of the 2 black, 2 white, and 3 colorless. Flying, whenever it dies, put a 1/1 white and black cleric creature token onto the battlefield. It has the same mana cost as the whatever it is, the Deathpact Angel. Tap, sacrifice this creature, return target card named Deathpact Angel from your graveyard to the battlefield.
You can populate the token, and if you put more Death Pact Angels
Well,
into your
but you have
graveyard,
to return. Well, yeah, that's still weird. It's okay.
and here comes Micah's favorite.
Oh, I really like
Dome
Re-Raid.
Re-Raid. Okay, the things you need for a Planeswalker. You need a way to generate some sort of card advantage. Like, let's say Jace, the original baby Jace.
Always.
Yep, everyone draws a card.
Every day
It's a
he's
card.
drawing cards.
It's a card advantage, right? He needs also a way to protect himself. Go to Jace, Architect of Thought, for example, for
His
that.
+1 is minus, or
Yeah.
gives attacking creatures minus.
It's all-
-1.
Makes it a little harder to kill him, or Veraska makes all their creatures and hero in any attempts to kill her.
Yep. And
Yes.
hero.
Yep, and so this also has a way of removing it. It has a target creature you control fights another creature.
Or -2, it fights. You can have
it
one
do
of your
that
creatures
immediately.
fight one of their creatures. Also, I like this if you're taking their creatures, like
The emblem
active
is just
treason.
ridiculous. It's like a better Chroma's Memorial.
The emblem is amazing. Oh, by the way, we didn't even say he's 3 mana, 1 green, 1 red, and 1 colorless for a 3 loyalty counter planeswalker, Domri. New planeswalker. +1, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand.
Card advantage.
Really good. Like, even if you don't reveal a creature, knowing what you're drawing is important. Because you can plan your next
it has
turn
everything.
in advance.
Like I've been saying, card advantage, removal,
And if they don't get
and a
rid of
ridiculous
Domri,
emblem.
yeah, if they don't get rid of Domri, it's game over. Because his -7 is you get an emblem with creatures you control have double strike, trample, hexproof, and haste. What are you going to do if this guy gets his emblem off? I mean, all of a sudden that Thragtusk deals 10 damage and has haste and double strike. It's just awesome.
And we have another Simic guy. Drakewing, is it Crassus?
Crap, I don't know.
But it's just a
You
3-1
guys
with
are
flying and trample.
pronunciation people.
3-1 with flying and trample. It's decent for 3. I mean, it's probably something that's going to be drafted in
Yeah,
fairly
definitely
high.
good and limited.
Fairly high.
Flyers are always good and limited.
And,
Evasion 4 to win.
we also have another Guild Mage. The Dusk Mantle one for
actually.
Dimir.
Yep.
And the Dimir one is ridiculous in mill. Its first ability reads for 3, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 colorless. Whenever a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere this turn, that player loses 1 life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in Modern, pay 3 for this ability, glimpse the unthinkable, then that's 10 direct damage to them, and it mills them for 10. You can also pay 4 and mill them too, but personally I think a Thought Scour would work better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little expensive for similar effect with Thought Scour, but
Let's see, then we have the Elusive Krakus, which I just think is weird. It's a 0/4 with Evolve for 3 mana, 1 green, 1 blue, 1 colorless.
that's unblockable. The thing is, if you get it to a certain point, it's going to be put them on a clock.
Yeah, but still, I feel like unblockable is more for Dimir. Next
Continuing
is
with
Fathom Mage.
Simic is Fathom Mage, yes.
I don't like Fathom Mage.
Yeah, it's a 1/1, it's really vulnerable.
Anytime you pay 4 mana and you get a 1/1, it's really not that good.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just dies easily to almost every form of removal. It doesn't have any way of protecting itself, and its only reasonable thing is generating card advantage.
There's always that chance, but in limited it'll be fine.
And
it's
we're
also the
swinging
premium
back to
side.
Boros, Firemane Avenger. Ooh, that's a lightning helix on the stick right
Limited
there.
is going to bow down to Fire. Wait, what is it called again? Firemane Avenger.
Yeah, it's a 3/3 flyer for 4, 1 red, 1 white, and
man.
2 colorless. I mean, 3/3 flyer on its own is just going to be great and limited, but
Yeah.
when it and 2 other creatures attack, it deals 3 damage to target creature or player, and you gain 3 life.
Now, if you guys remember, in Avacyn Restored, we had a 3 mana, 3/3 flyer, and you had to return a creature a permanent from the battlefield back to your hand. So for 1 more mana, you don't have to do that. And you get to lightning helix something whenever it attacks with 2 other
If you ever
creatures.
thought of the combos this
That's
could do with,
ridiculous.
okay, try running this in American mid-range. Blue
Oh,
cards,
look up.
okay,
No, okay.
blue cards with Cipher.
Well,
This deals the 3 damage before it even attacks. So
Oh, yeah,
it
that's
deals,
true.
So you can deal 3 damage direct to them, copy the Cipher, tap down one of their potential blockers, and then
it's
gain
whenever
3.
that creature deal.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that's how
Wait, is
Cypher-
it combat damage? Because I don't think that's.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're correct.
We're sad.
We are sad. I has a sad.
We're disappointed in Wizards for not letting us do this. But anyway, back to the spoilers.
This would have made Hellrider just so much worse.
Would have been too good.
Hellrider.
No, Hellrider? Would
Yeah,
have been super good if you could cipher him like that.
Oh no.
If you could do that, that'd be ridiculous.
Then
Anyway,
we have the promo, which is
Foundry.
Foundry. I'm not a huge fan of him.
he has fire breathing and white.
Honor guard. Honor guard.
Sure. Yeah, but he just doesn't really do much. And when he enters the battlefield, he deals damage equal to the number of creatures. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that.
I mean, in token decks it might be interesting, but its mana cost is way too high. I mean,
6 mana for a.
it could be a potential finisher in
Limited.
draft. Yeah. But besides that, it's really not going to do very much. High Priest of Penance. This is so bad. It's like a... Oh, it's something you don't want to hit. It's like Stuffy Doll. Whenever High Priest of Penance is dealt damage, you may destroy target non-land permanent.
Yeah,
For
but he's a
2.
1/1.
For 2. He's a 1/1, but whatever. Even if they Searing Spear him, he's still going to destroy one of their creatures, one of their enchantments.
I still don't like him though.
Yeah, well, if you had a way to make him indestructible or something.
Yeah, but Tragic Slip doesn't deal damage.
Yeah. Damn it. Still, I want to see what people can do with that.
They also haven't spoiled many kill target creature Doomblade type cards, you know, for Dimir, which is also something they should have. But anyway, back to spoilers.
Yeah,
We have
they're probably
less-
gonna have like a kill spell that also mills them at the same time.
Lazav, Dimir, Mastermind.
2 blue, 2
This
black.
guy is
3/3 with hexproof.
sexy against Reanimator decks.
Yep. Whenever an opponent's creature
it's
card
from
is put into the graveyard from anywhere,
From anywhere.
Library.
You mill them.
library,
Think about this.
battlefield.
You're just sitting there against an aggro deck, and then you, especially in limited, and you mill one card. My phone is being dumb. You mill. There go the cops. You mill one. They don't want me to talk about this. You mill one card, and it happens to be the Skarag Goliath or whatever. Scarag. I don't know.
Skarg.
Skarag Goliath. All of a sudden,
You have a
you
9/9
have a 9/9
tramp
trample.
that also is hexproof, and his name is also Lazav Dimir
You're happy
Mastermind.
after you do that. Just saying. Okay. So
Hexproof
moving on.
9/9 trample. Yeah,
He's
it's
just
ridiculous. Mystic Genesis, interesting counterspell. Interesting. It's
Not
it's,
as good as that snake dude.
yeah.
the
It's
four-mana
not a
snake.
Mystic Snake, but it's
But they didn't do that because Restoration Angel is a thing.
really
I think it's okay. But it's not going to see standard.
yeah. It's
too
too
much
high
for standard.
too high cost. But I can imagine people doing some shenanigans with this. I mean, you can.
Hey, enter the infant. Nope. No.
Of
I would
course,
be
you
so
could also
sad.
populate the XX Green Ooze, which
That's
would
true.
make this interesting in band.
Oh my gosh.
Obsidat Ghost
good.
Council. Cost
So
for
good.
1 colorless, 2 white, 2 black.
So good.
It's
5/5.
5/5. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 2, they lose 2.
You lose 2 and then no. That'd
no.
be bad.
No. They lose 2, you gain 2. There's a life swing of 4 there. And then at your end step, you can exile it and return it to the battlefield under your control again, and give it haste.
During your
It
next
avoids
upkeep.
all sorcery speed removal.
Yep. You have to have instants to get rid of this, which is good.
You can't Oblivion Ring it, you can't Detention Sphere it, you can't...
Unless you use that one thing. Alchemist Refuge. But anyway, we're not talking about Alchemist Refuge.
Alchemist Refuge, I mean, that's cute, but nobody's gonna run that.
Yep. Obsidat is good.
Obsidian
Play
is ridiculous.
Rubble Hulk.
Rubble
on the other
Hulk,
hand.
power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control.
I don't
Costs
really like
6. You can pay 3, discard him, and give a creature +X, where X is not the number of lands you control.
It could be a finisher. It'd be better if this guy had trample though.
Scape Shift, anyone? Scape Shift, obviously, would get a ton of lands out.
Or that Boundless Realms, or whatever it is. from
Boundless Realms is a
M13.
little high
You're just
costed,
like,
but...
But still, I don't really like him. I don't particularly like Blood Rush, but they haven't showed us much.
Hey, they reprinted Sky Knight Legionnaire 2/2
I don't like
flying
the art.
haste for 3. Yeah,
The art's pretty bad.
the new art is weird.
We don't need to talk about it though, because you guys know it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Treasury Thol roll is the new
It's okay.
it's the promo for
6 mana, 1 black, 1 white, 4 colorless.
and it has extort, and whenever it attacks you can recur one of your creatures or artifacts or enchantments back to your hand. It's a 4/4, so you have a decent reason to attack, but it costs 6. That's high costed,
Yeah.
but if you're running Ordsov and you need a way to recur something, that's always good.
Whispering Madness.
This is the first card that was spoiled with Cypher. It's
It's
sort
weird.
of it's a windfall type thing that you can repeatedly use.
Yeah.
People aren't really going to use that in limited.
The problem is, like, you don't want to keep giving them cards to. Is the problem I see with that. But anyway, let's just move on. Discard your hand, and then is it draw 7 or is it draw how many cards you discarded?
Draw cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way.
Oh, okay. Well, it's still okay, but still, you're giving them cards too.
Next up, we have the Simic Guildmage.
Oh,
or
he's good.
The Samic Guildmage. And you can pay 2 and give everything an additional +1/+1 counter as it enters, which could trigger some evolve effects, which is great. And of course, you can remove a counter and pay 2 and draw a card. So he's an easy way of generating card advantage. He should be drafted fairly high, not necessarily first pick.
I don't know. In the right pack, he's easy first pick, but still, he's good.
Yeah. If your rare is something like, I don't know, Skarg, and you're mostly running evolve mechanics, probably not.
Let's see. So
Our last in the multicolored is Swine. He's another Blood Rush card. Gives a creature 5/4 until end of turn. He costs 5. He's a fairly simple common.
and 3 mana Blood Rushing to give something +5/+4. I actually like him. I like the Blood Rush on him. It seems really well costed, and that's Blood Rush. I think in limited is gonna really surprise people all of a sudden.
And now we're moving on to our 2 hybrid cards that have been spoiled. Burning Tree Emissary costs 2 hybrid.
Green and red.
Yep. And when it enters the battlefield, you add 1 red and 1 green to your mana pool.
He's good with Cloud Shift and Restoration Angel.
Absolutely.
But
he replaces himself. I mean, if you can play
It's
something
true.
else.
That is true.
And then we have Night Veil Spectre. Spectre, yes.
What's going on? Go ahead.
Okay, Night Veil Spectre is a 2/3 for flying, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they exile the top card of their library. And you can play that card anytime. That's the key there. You can basically play it whenever you want. There's no, you may play it until end of turn or other such effects like that. You can just play it immediately. Now, I can see this having some sort of application in 5-color control decks, and 5-color control was originally kind of a joke, but then I played against it, and I wasn't so sure. I mean, it's pretty nasty in the right situations. I saw a friend get doored once with a 5-color control.
Man, this video's gonna be long.
But you could end up playing their library, too.
Yep. Then we have the key runes. Well, 2 of them.
3. Oh, no, 2.
2 key runes.
Two
So,
and then a
Dimir key rune does, the tap stuff.
But then it becomes a 2/2 unblockable. It's
Which is
very nice. I think it's actually better than the Azorius key rune.
And then Gruul key rune taps for red and green.
3/2 trample.
Turns into a 3/2 trample. And then the Illusionist Bracers
Oh,
are
this
pretty
has
good.
so many ways you could
What's
just
going
make it
on?
bonkers.
Turning you.
Like, I think Daily MTG had an article on how to break Illusionist Bracers. And,
It's gonna be pretty good, I think.
for example, I think it's called the U Spirit. You can give it +X until end of turn, where X is its power. So instead of doubling it once, you can double it twice. Which is really nice, and there's so many applications. You could do this with Gilderbairn. Again, Gilderbairn combos with everything as well.
And then we have lands, which really,
Guild
Gates and Shocklands.
Shocklands are great.
And with that, we conclude this episode of Walla Walla MTG.
Thank you for watching.
Like, favorite,
And
and
we'll see you
subscribe,
later.
guys. Peace.